docket. So I told them I have analyzed this thing. From my first degree to my master's to my PhD, I've had elements of law, and they don't betray me. I've never lost cases. Even when I was Secretary General of KUJ, I never lost one single case. So I told them, let's go. And if you don't have money to hire a lawyer, I'll prosecute the case against Kenyan breweries. It looks comical. But we went to court. We managed to get a lawyer who was very reasonable. We went to court, and after 6 months, before Justice John Mativo, it was decided unequivocally that Kenya Film Classification Board has the power to rate even TV programs. We have the power to preserve our moral values and our culture, and that TV programs that have content of adult nature shall never be shown during the watershed period. We won on every score. You'll be shocked to know that during that time, even government agencies like Communications Authority went against us. And there were statements. I would issue a statement and another body would issue a statement. It was the lowest moment, because when government agencies fight, it becomes very, very complicated. You even feel like you are the one on the wrong. And obviously that time, I was the butt of all cartoons and all bad publicity, from Joki Chege to Macharia Gaidho to everybody. I think every top journalist and a story on me. And the biggest cartoonist in East Africa, Gando, drew me 19 cartoons in 1 year. It was an overkill. No politician, even the president, deserves that, 19. And most of them were ridiculous. There's one he repeated about 5 times where my head was like the sink of a toilet. Just emptiness or trash. All those kind of things. And my family, I would go back home in the evening and discuss these things and tell them, we must pay the price. Your dad is paying a price, and I want to teach you a lesson. That if you stand for a cause, there'll be moments like those. And it's not just when you are a CEO. Any stage in life where you stand for anything, even your family can oppose you, even people close to you will oppose you, and therefore you need to pay the price. To cut the long story short, again, and I don't know how short I'm cutting it, we moved and we started the revolution of Kenya Film Classification Board based on 2 major principles. One is that films and stage plays must preserve Kenya's culture, national values, and aspirations. They must project the dominant values. And I said Kenya, one, is a godly society. It's a godly society. People say, oh, we are not a religious society. But I tell you, we are a godly society. The preamble of our constitution says we, the first words in our constitution, we, the people of Kenya, acknowledging the supremacy of God Almighty of all creation, give ourselves this constitution to rule us. And so it starts by that. And I always say, from a scholarly perspective, the preamble is the philosophical foundation of any document. All articles, all memorandums, all laws derived must speak to the spirit, that philosophy. And so we are a godly society. As a matter of fact, we are a religious society. John Beatty, Professor Beatty, who died a few weeks ago, I don't know whether he's been buried, he said Africans are notoriously religious. But for us, it's not just a religion of the old of our ancestors. It's a religion where, like Jesus said, we worship in truth and in spirit. And we know that this thing is practical. And I always say the reason I believe in this thing is because it made sense to me. It has brought me to where I am. It is not easy to be a CEO in Kenya without a godfather, without some political kingpin speaking for you and defending you. I have none. And I say it publicly so that I will never run into the temptation of thinking there is one. I have only God the Father. But it has worked. All the years, it has worked. And I also live knowing that that's a dangerous preposition. It can cost you my job. But my testimony is bigger than my title. If I walked out of KFCB, I will have a bigger position and a bigger name still than the one KFCB has and the one I have even today. It has been the case all the years, John, you'll attest. And so we started that revolution. I said number 1 was to preserve Kenya's culture, national values, and aspiration. The second one, and most importantly, is to protect children from exposure to harmful content. The kind of dirty stuff on our TV stations, the kind of dirty stuff on our phones, the kind of unpalatable content being placed everywhere through our music, through our art, must be stopped. We must find a way where through regulation and through advocacy and through even moral policing, if you call it moral policing, we must get our media back to sanity. It cannot be right for children to appear on TV naked, twerking, and claiming that they are coming to entertain. That is not entertainment, it's devil worship. And whose parents are those kids? Where do they come from? Where are the churches? Those kids are known and they appear on TV and even say, shouted to their parents. Shame on those parents, because this is where leadership has failed. We have failed from the churches. We go to churches and ladies are told when we are praying, please take care of your handbags. That's how low it has sunk. Parents cannot be emulated by their children, because you come home high like a kite, you bring beer, you bring cigarettes, all manner of things right before your children, and they watch these things. It is not easy to be a parent in Kenya today. It's a full-time job. It takes sacrifice. It takes all manner of courage and sacrifice to be ethical. It's not easy. So I don't know what criteria you use, and I'm not being critical, Dr. Nganga. I'm just saying it's not easy. I've tried 35 years, and look, I've tried, but you hear my stories everywhere. You'll still get them. But I always say the most controversial person I know is the one I follow, Jesus Christ. That guy lived for 33 years, but look at what he did. Was it 33 or 30? The guy lived, he died so young. He was younger than Martin Luther King. But look at what he accomplished to date. The man was over 2 billion followers. Is it 2 or 3? I am not getting statistics right this morning. But I always look at that and say, he was called even a devil worshipper. He was called the most controversial. They called him names. Don't you worry. If you're in leadership and they're not calling you a name, please be evaluated again. It can't be possible, not in Kenya today. Honestly speaking, you'll step on people's toes. Where do you make the change? Because the change, there are only 2 ways, my brothers and sisters. The battle is between the devil and God. It's between good and evil. And you can't be praised on both sides. You can't be a soldier and be liked in both sides of the battle. How? It's illogical. The one you are winning for will praise you. The other side will hate you for it. This is the challenge that I bring to you today. And lastly, I talked about excellence. And I want to end it with that. We have leaders who have no desire to excel. Anything goes, as long as we survive for another day, to see another day. And there's no urge and desire to excel and to perfect that which we do. Through acquiring skills, through surrounding ourselves with the mentors, and there's nobody who is big enough to be mentored. And most importantly, having structures for accountability. Who do you account to? Every time my kids sit me down and say, Dad, we need to talk. So I ask them, who told you to talk to me like this? Because when we were growing up, we used to say, Dad will kill me, Mom will kill me. But these days, my kids, because we created a structure where we account to one another. So they tell me that we need to talk. And when we sit and they are the ones raising the issues, they are the bosses. And most of the times I fall short of the glory with all, and I'm the moral police. So I tell them, don't you know that nationally I'm respected and people think I'm very important? And don't you see even the way I am driven and dropped home in style? And they tell me, you're not a CEO here. What we are trying to ask you is to walk the talk. What we are trying to ask you is to help us be you and better than you. And that challenges me. But the thing is, the pursuit of excellence includes also living that excellent life. And every time trying, with the best of the resources that we have, the little that we have, trying to improve every day. It is a continuous improvement process where we try, honestly, I mean, let me give you my example. I pursued my master's when I was director of information. I did my degree, finished in 1994, early 1994, and I could not pursue my master's for many reasons that are related to my background and siblings that I had to go and fetch and bring them up. Some of them I brought to Nairobi. I thought my job at the Nation was paying well, so I brought 5 of my siblings because my father was polygamous and they were suffering and they would get, they had to do hard chores before going to school, and I thought that environment will not make them, who I am. And after having tested the university education, I thought, so I brought 5 of them, and it made me poor. I worked for 9 years at the Nation, and I could not afford a car. I started and left without buying one because I had to bring those guys up. What was I saying? I could not go for my master's. My wife went for us and started a PhD, and it started becoming a challenge. And because she had gone to Beijing, that initial lot, and now she's even pursuing PhD, and the US truly is here with a small degree and no stable job. It was a real worry. It was a real cause of worry and discussions at the family table. And we agreed that I have 1 degree, but I'm the husband and the head of this family and the priest, and I would shake karabara and just buying demons that don't exist, but I had to play super spiritual, at least to compensate for what I lacked in education. But I say, when I will ever get an opportunity, I will go to school. When they advertised for the job of the director of information, I did not apply, even though the president had said they needed me. So I didn't apply because they said you have to have masters. And the Minister for Information then, Mutua, called me and told me, what happened? I thought, you guys had a deal with the president. And I said, sir, I don't qualify. He said, why? I don't have a master's. You talk on TV like this without a master's? And I told him, yeah, I don't have it for reasons that you will agree with me. They re-advertised. And I got it. I was number 1 again. I am good at what I do, by the way. I'm good at what I do. It's not by fluke. And I told him, now that I've gotten this job, I promise you that one time I will invite you for my graduation for PhD. And I went to the University of Nairobi for my master's. They don't write these things, Brother Nganga. They don't write. I did my master's at the University of Nairobi. I did 13 units. Out of 13 units, I scored 11 A's and 2 B's. Nobody has ever written that. That record, it's a school of journalism. You can Google my thesis. I went to Moi University for my PhD. And we were many, even there was a PS we were doing our PhD with, there were scholars who were lecturers in that university. I was number 1 in the defense. Number 1. I mean, I'm not bragging, I'm just telling you, excellence. I mean, you must have something on the table. You must be good at what you do. You must be good at what you do. And you may not be an A person, but you must be an A something. It may not be A in terms of academic excellence. And when I joined KFCB, so that I can now close, without it being easy, without resources, without support, the battles I've gone through. I have fought homosexuality with everything I have because I believe in the cause that we are a product of a man and a woman, a union between a man and a woman. They are fundamental values that don't change. And I spoke 3 weeks ago or so, at Hollywood in Los Angeles to people. The Hollywood Film Board took a decision whether to invite me as their keynote speaker. And out of 11 board members, 9 voted that I go and speak. And they paid for my flight and everything. 2 voted against me, but they say they will come and listen to the goon. That homophobic guy will come and listen to him. When they came, I have the photos of one of the ladies who hugged me, and in tears she said many times, you will succeed. And I said, even against this cause, yes, I am gay, but you will succeed. True stories, 3 weeks ago. And I told them what I'm telling you, that even homosexuality goes against the philosophy of sustainable development. At the bottom of that philosophy and that narrative is human populations. Tony Blair has a clip on YouTube where he talks about the countries that will be superpowers. And he says the baseline will be populations. That's why now they are pushing, because they don't want Africa to develop, they are pushing the agenda of homosexuality, including in the ICPD conference coming to Nairobi. And that agenda must be resisted. I was touched beyond measure yesterday when I saw Honorable Duale in Parliament, and I visited him the day before yesterday. within a very short time. And I saw him execute that agenda in Parliament, and he made it very clear that those people from Sweden and Mexico and wherever, they can come and discuss finances, politics, but not about gayism. That's the position of President Uhuru Kenyatta. That's the position of the government of Kenya. Homosexuality is illegal in Kenya. Yes. It's not the agenda of God, it's not our culture. And we must be clear about it. But it cost me my diplomatic passport, if you remember. You remember? And when I was in the US, I was speaking in Google. Even the homosexuals, 70% of the workers there, they are homosexual. And they were demonstrating as I was giving a lecture in Google. And then I saw that my passport had been cancelled. And I gave a statement from there, and I said I would drop it on arrival. I don't need it. If the government has said I don't deserve it, I did not steal it, but on arrival, can I find the guy who says I don't deserve it to hand it over? And I handed it over on arrival at the airport. And the rest, as they say, is history. Because diplomatic passport does not make you. It is not the title, it's not the position. It is the cause that we are championing. Let me say, brethren, that God has been gracious to us. You can live for morality and ethics. You can do your part, and no one will ever be perfect. It's a job of perfecting every day. In fact, if you are perfect, then you are risking God calling you home. And since I don't want to be called home, I keep confessing that I am a sinner. Because even the scripture says, who says he has no sin is a liar, and you are making God look deceitful. It's about perfecting ourselves every day, knowing our weaknesses and trying to be better every day. But let me tell you, it's possible to be ethical in Kenya. The state, thank you. The State Advisory Committee that rates CEOs in state corporations has rated me 99.1 twice in a row. They don't write about it. This is an official document. And probably even you guys who are Christians, you never rate me better because of that. I don't know what criteria you use, but I'll look at it. Nevertheless, even if I don't qualify, I believe in your cause. I truly believe in what you are doing, guys. I support you. I pray for you. I will even contribute. If you need my financial support, I'm one of the best, the highest paid CEOs in Kenya. I will contribute. My money is for the kingdom of God. And so don't be ashamed to reach out to those of us who are holding, who are in the marketplace. Work with us. But the whole thing is, can we strive in our small spheres of influence to do that which is right? Whether at family level, with our colleagues. One of the things I tell my colleagues is that you are safe with me. Nobody loses a job at KFCB. I don't shed blood. I'm the CEO. I have the power. They call it authority to negotiate expenditure. My brother would know it. It's the most privilege, the greatest privilege you can be given by law, that I can sign money to be used. I can steal this one, go to Europe, and they go. And I use it with grace and awareness and alertness that this is power given to me by God to use it to help his people. Unless somebody sacks themselves under my watch, unless they have refused to be rehabilitated and refused my conversation. Of course, I'm a CEO, so I hire and fire. But ideally, if it were left to me, in fact, everybody at KFCB would have lifetime employment. So I care, not just for my family, but the place where I spend most of my time. Because I spent 8 hours with these guys. And do we care about the people we spend time with? Do we care about our circles? The circles that God has put to us, and the people we are supposed to help grow and make an impact in this world. I leave you with this challenge. The challenge is in a saying, I think it was by Roosevelt. And it says, it is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of the deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood. The credit belongs to the man who is actually doing it, who is making efforts, who strives valiantly, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasm and the power of victory. It says, actually, that person as a better place than the miserable people who neither know defeat nor victory. And I wanted to finish by saying it's about doing. It's about doing. Get your hands dirty. Leaders dirty their hands, eat from the sweat of their brow. Life is about doing. Work until you die. Jesus said, occupy till I come. In your pursuit of ethical leadership in this country, you are doing the great service that you could ever do. And I wish you well. May God bless you.